Just this week, a leftist MSU professor sent out a survey with horrible racist terminology. MSU's president equated Customs Border Protection to racist and hate events on campus, and somehow an MSU panel still had the nerve to say that leftist students are more tolerant. This is undeniable with Sergei Kelley. Here, I'll highlight news more which was reported, things that weren't reported, and further information on the indoctrination and leftist culture at Michigan State University. Before I forget, subscribe to the More Watch, and also share your thoughts below. This week has been truly horrible for MSU Leftists. In this video, I'll unpack 4 instances that received national attention, which are stories that More Watch broke. We'll start with the completely derogatory and racist survey, then the list of demands by a Black Student Alliance in light of recent events on campus, and then the MSU's president and student government's mischaracterization of Customs, Border, and Protection, and also ICE. And then we'll end on the panel that asserted that leftists are more tolerant, which is very odd to say, especially in light of recent events, which we're going to discuss further. All the stories I discussed are right on the More Watch website for further reference. First, the survey. Published by the MSU professor Salim Alabash, it contains racist and homophobic slurs. There are over 150 prompts targeted at whites, blacks, LGBTQ, vegans, Asians, and others. First, right after the story was reported by the Morning Watch, it was quickly circulated through local news and then to national news, including Breitbart, USA Today, and also the College Fix. And, well, we at the Morning Watch hoped for more citation as the original reporter. We were happy the story got out. And some of these horrid claims, which I cannot read all of them out loud right now, included using the N-word multiple times, such as one of the prompts stated, "Haha, there is nothing positive about N, let alone the word that describes N being the N-word." Furthermore, they equated blacks to monkeys, and also stated in prompts as Asians having decreased field of vision, and equated in prompts as Muslims are smelly sand N, using the N-word again. In addition, one prompt stated, "Asians act like they're the only people on the F planet. If only Hitler was reborn in Asia right now, that would be awesome." That was another prompt. And another prompt directed at the LGBTQ community is very horrible. I can't read that full thing out, but it describes putting a bullet in their mouth. Just putting a bullet in their mouth. And there's just further prompts like this. I'm reading from the Watch article that are just completely obscene, horrible, racist, and still, this survey, the point of the survey was to measure offensiveness and aggressiveness. It did accomplish that in some degree, but this is definitely a waste of time, and this manner is not the best way. There was not many students that took the survey, especially completed the survey, and this same professor, who is an MSU, who is a leftist at MSU, also stated and has stated there is implicit and explicit prejudice towards Arabs and Muslims, and even in academic circles. He also has clearly stated his hate of racists, and which to him that includes Donald Trump. So he's really stabbing himself and his leftist friends in his foot with this survey. Already bad enough, he completely dethrones any sort of tolerance that he can preach to. Clearly, the MSU leftists have not had a good week. And this story, reported by the Morning Watch, has received over 3,500 views on our website, which is more than 2,000 from the last highest story view count. We are growing and expanding and certainly could use more help filling staff spots, contributors, and also meeting costs. There's more information on the website. Second, on the list of demands from the Black Student Alliance, they included validation of perceived bias events, and also more minority leaders. And these demands were directed, at MSU, is directed specifically at the housing department that includes the dorms and hospitality services where students live. And this list of demands comes after recent events where 2 toilet paper allegedly nooses were placed on an African American's dorm door, and the horrible survey which I just mentioned. The nooses were announced as a Halloween prank, which by REHS, the housing department, which the perpetrators had admitted to and MSU had published, but obviously other students and student groups have greatly disagreed. The group's demands include 1. Validation of experiences of targeted communities in the case where it may be perceived as not a biased incident. And let me stop here one second and explain that. So even just perceived bias, so it doesn't actually have to be something, it just be like I think or I feel. And if you feel something's a biased incident now, it is one. And this falls in line with, what you say, what you wear. This can be very obvious events, very obvious hate symbols that someone can put on campus, but also could be, something else that it may not be outrightly bad and may to most people not seem bad, but it only takes that one perception, that one how they feel, to make it one. The next demand is we demand the no hate crime statement should be circulated and sent to students frequently, and the university should take a clear stance on hate crime and bias instances. In addition, they want an official policy on racial discrimination and intimidation, and for it to be fully enforced, they demand more minority leadership in the housing department at MSU, and also they demand that the hall governments execute at least 2 diversity-centered programs a year. While I do agree that it's appropriate and necessary to respond to racism, assuming that these events on campus have been fully, this is not actually the most effective way. If you think about it, statements, you can put out as many statements as you want against racism, bigotry, whatever you want to name it. It's not like anything. At the end of the day, that's just words coming from an authority figure, which unless you believe in that authority figure or believe in the message strongly enough and you're not just a wacko, then you're going to believe it. But unfortunately, statements and policies rarely stop racism. Look at the 1960s. Mandatory programs don't work either. And this would be another mandated program on top of the already diversity programs and sex ed programs that are already mandated here at Michigan State University for the students to take every year. And in the end, it's top down. But they should work on it bottom up. Clearly, the leftist prof who did the survey prompted a strong reaction he didn't really anticipate, and the Black Student Alliance's top-down approach, going from MSU president down, is not effective. And speaking about the MSU president, I'll throw in the student government. Both don't like border agents. In a recent Morning Watch article, which we reported on last week, the student government, the Associated Students of Michigan State University, said, and I quote, ICE is detrimental to students' feelings of safety in their dorms as well as potentially disruptive to students' mental health and learning environment, unquote. So this bill was a reactionary bill to empty and denied rumors of ICE on campus just days before. And there were no photos, there were no videos of any ICE agents on campus. ICE denied being on campus, and still the people that put out these rumors, leftist groups on campus, never apologized, never confirmed or denied that they had started a rumor. And then there was the Customs Border and Protection people that were on campus just days later, and they were invited by an MSU class to be there. And in less than a week from those personnel being there, the MSU president turns around and in an email and equates them with other hate and racist and bias incidents on campus, which included those alleged nooses on the doors and also the survey. And he said this through a university-wide email, which has reached national attention with Campus Reform, The College Fix, and Breitbart. Clearly, MSU's president, my president, and the president of students here at Michigan State University, along with the student government, ASMSU, do not see the incoherency of labeling ICE or Customs Border and Protection as hateful or hurtful. It has not been a good week for them. And to top it off, just this last week, with all those things going on, an MSU panel had the audacity to say that leftists are more tolerant. Left-leaning individuals, such as the prof who did the survey, MSU's president, and large part of the student government, clearly show their intolerance and their misplaced use of authority. At this panel, they were somehow looking at the coexistence of Islam and feminism. And one of the panelists stated, quote, most students vote blue, so stereotypes aren't as prevalent, end quote, while discussing their experiences on campus of being minorities. And I think just looking at what happened this week, whether it's alleged or actual, this claim is another stab in the foot. It's been a bad week for MSU Leftists, and this has been undeniable with Sergei Kelley. This has been part of the Morning Watch, the campus's independent conservative publication exposing leftist bias on MSU. Subscribe to the Morning Watch at our website, The Morning Watch. Just type it in and it will come up. Also, follow us on social media, which includes Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, to stay up to date on the latest dominant and unwelcoming culture at Michigan State University.